Painting with Menoth John is presented in Superlegitivision. Superlegitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. Start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sunday Night Extravaganza. You can paint with anything, but I prefer a brush, because painting with your fingers or your nose or your elbow will not be able to get the kind of detail you need on a 30 millimeter type miniature. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Menoth John, and we are here again because consistency is the key when you're talking about the kind of empire that John Spencer and I are trying to build. We are, of course, the team that is Painting with Menoth John. I'm Menoth John, and of course the face you see up in the corner, that fella right there, that is Mr. John Spencer, my mighty right hand.
Hello. I like you so much. I wore a collared shirt.
Hot damn. He must be interviewing for another podcast, folks.
Nah, I just like to look somewhat respectful when I see my family.
That's nice. And I wore a Star Trek Good Spock, Evil Spock t-shirt that came in the Loot Crate the other day. So we're canceling the Loot Crate here, and we are going to be going with a Tinker Crate because I've decided that I'd rather have less shit around the house and more thought-provoking box of project. So anyhow, so how's your week, buddy?
It was decent.
That's good.
I didn't get any games in, but it was still decent.
I got one game in. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I actually was in your neck of the wape the other day. I was out in York, Pennsylvania, doing my day gig, and it was good times were had. During the course of the last 40 minutes, when we were doing the pre-ramble of this show, which is available to patrons at patreon.com/menothjohn, we did absolutely no show prep.
Not at all.
Not
We're
even
gonna
a lick.
seat of our pants.
This is going to be old school. Like, we're going to be, Barnstormers didn't have as much adventure as what we have ahead of us tonight. Usually we start off with a beverage update. Kraken is the official rum of this particular podcast, but last time that he was in Casa John, our minister of great times, gave me a bottle of the Sailor Jerry. So I'm going to have a shot of the Sailor Jerry. It is a spiced rum. Anytime I think about Jerry, I think about Jerry Garcia.
That's what I was thinking too.
And I don't know if this has anything to do with Jerry Garcia, but we're going to pretend that it does. Well, it's actually Norman Sailor Jerry Collins, who helped build his reputation tattooing in Hawaii's brawling Hotel Street district. So it has absolutely nothing to do with the Grateful Dead.
We'll pretend it does anyways.
Well, gosh, yeah. I'd rather think about Jerry Garcia. So, and what are you having for this evening, Mr. John?
I have a shot of Kraken rum to start it off, and then a little bit left of Dr. Pepper and Fireball.
Okay. Well, on behalf of everybody, and on behalf of everyone who has joined us here, we're 19 strong in that chat room already. So, hey, Ron.
Ron.
Boy, that stuff's smooth as silk. It's a little fruity, a little aromatic. It's nice. It's good. Ryan, we're going to have to get you down here again. We talked about that. And the other thing I'm going to be having tonight, I'm going to have some Sprecker's Black Bavarian beer. Because, it's a little, got to have a little rum, got to have a little beer. Got to keep chasing it out there a little bit.
So in the Retribution of Syra Facebook group this week, someone went Ron as a question, and halfway down, one of the gentlemen's there posts drinks.
Nice.
I'm like, excellent. That's what I want.
Yes, this is good stuff. Yes. Ron won a game for me today. Force Hammer and TK. So you had orange juice and Kraken Rave Bomb. That's amazing.
We're gonna need to make a drink called the telekinesis.
Okay, we could. We should probably build that whole menu around his spell list. I'm thinking. Don't you think?
Polarity Shield's gonna be too horrible for me to make anything up with because there's so many ways you can go with that. Many ways.
We got a thing coming up this fall, and I need to bring it to a head finally, and that is I want to do like a food machine style event this fall. Rich Brotman has already talked about coming out, and I want to do this as a food donation thing for my son's middle school.
Oh.
And he has committed to help me plan it and all that kind of stuff. So we'll probably get started on that here within the next couple weeks, I would guess.
Fair note that the food machine Buffalo is apparently around Thanksgiving, like the week before or something.
Right.
In case that changes your plans at all.
Not at all. We would have always planned with Buffalo's food machine in there. We'll probably be at least a solid month ahead of them.
Okay, cool.
So my food machine event will be nothing like the scale of Buffalo's. Buffalo pretty much owns that particular event style these days. But John, this is the business section of the damn podcast.
Business.
We got to get the business on, and we have plenty of amazing sponsors here on the Painting with Men with John show. Should I mention a few of them?
Please do.
Usually we take things from the left to the right on the bottom of your screen, where we start with this Flight Medic and we go across and all that kind of stuff. We're going to start with Clockwork Phoenix Games. Ladies and gentlemen, Clockwork Phoenix Games is an amazing little company run by a wonderful brush head and crony, I might add, Mr. DC, Mr. David Carl, formerly of the Privateer Presses. And he is going to be developing some awesome games. He doesn't have anything for us just yet, but I'm sure we're going to have some things to be revealed. DC is going to be at Adepticon, John.
Sweet. Wish I could, but a little far away for spur of the moment.
Oh, that's fair. And DC and I are talking about playing a little Guild Ball while we're there, which will be super legit and totally sweet. I will also have Troll Chuck along with me. And I need to find out whether or not I have to buy him a badge. Because I don't think he'll be playing, but I might end up buying him a badge anyway. Because it'll be fun for him to have a badge. But
absolutely. Maybe they got a kid's badge.
Yeah, maybe. I'll talk to him. I'll schmooze him. I'll tell him I'm press. Maybe they'll let him in for free.
There you go, press. We need press badges.
We do need press badges, goddammit. We need more free shit.
I would definitely go to more cons with press badges.
We need more free shit is what we need. So, we do all this stuff, we should expect free shit too. So there you go. And
no, I expect the brush heads to have fun, and that's it. Anything beyond that's a bonus.
Amen. Man, I gotta trim my beard. Anyway, so I'm just looking at it here. So so we got that going for us. Oh, I'm seeing Adam here, and we need to talk to Greenleaf Terrain about getting some terrain. By the way, Great Times, of course, is our Minister of Great Times, Ryan Goes, and nobody knows more Great Times than he does, and he knows that Greenleaf Terrain is your home for Great Times terrain. So if you want terrain, you're gonna put it on your table and go, "Shit, I'm having a great times," and that's exactly, and it'll fit. It'll fit any metric slots you have on your board. If you've got a 1/4-inch place for a wall, it's not going to work. But if you had that up to like 5 millimeters, you're all in. And so keep that in mind. But he has a conversion kit. Just ask him about it for the metric versus imperial type things. He'll give it to you probably for free. And so ask him for that. And it's hard to see sometimes. It's a small kit. He'll build it right in. So there you go. So that's the Greenleaf Terrain. And I already violated what I said we were going to do by jumping over KR Multicase. Easter time is the time we all think about, having food with our loved ones. And what goes better with food than butter? John, I ask you that.
Oh God, I knew that was coming. I just hoping it wasn't.
Yep. If I'm having a roll, what's the first thing I'm reaching for, John?
Oh, I'm gonna guess butter.
You
Though
damn
funnily, I didn't
Skippy.
have any butter on my roll.
You damn Skippy. You're gonna go reach for that butter, and you're gonna put it on there, and then it'll be just like being nuzzled in the soft blue foam of KR Multicase. They'll sell you foam, but you'll only need the seat of your chair. I don't know what that means, but
That one's kind of far afield there.
so you can put your models in there, and it'll hold them in place. I had, for the first time ever, I had a breakage on a model, but I broke it at painter's house. It was not the fault of the Butterfoam. So there you go. So if you want, they've got that special War Machine 25 WM25. If you want your Glacier King to be swaddled in the softness, Jesus, when he was born, didn't have the kind of comfort that with his swaddling clothes that your models will experience with
Oh my
KR
God.
Multicase. So when you reach out to KR Multicase to tell them that Minoth Jen sent you, and tell them you want the foam that's better than Jesus. All right.
Oh God.
All right. So, and then we've got the Flight Medic dice trays. The mastermind, Flight Medic, behind Flight Medic dice trays. He used to fly in using helicopter technology to save people's lives, and he's incorporated helicopter technology into each and every one of these dice trays. He uses felt, and it might be mohair. It could be mohair in there, utilizing sheep technology as well as helicopter technology. 9 out of 10 Flight Medic dice trays are not going to be able to lift off on their own power. And if you get one of those, I want you to contact us. But if you don't, you can't be disappointed, because your dice are rolling in some of the finest dice trays that were designed using technology that has literally saved lives. So try Flight Medic dice trays. They'll make your shit roll like a prince. So there you go.
That was exceptional.
Our sponsors don't pay a lot to be sponsors of this show, but they don't get a lot for their money
With
either.
ad campaigns like that, they totally should.
Yeah. They don't get a lot for their money, do they? So anyway, so there you go. So it's Happy Easter, brushheads. Shit.
Yes. And actually, this seems like a good place for it. Ryan Goes actually noted that there's a new convention coming to Oshkosh called Chaos Convention.
Shut up.
KAOS. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Maybe Google that stuff. Maybe find Ryan and ask him.
Yeah. You can use Google for a lot of things these days. It's not just for porn anymore.
No.
So, yeah, so there you go. So that's our, we talked about our sponsors. We're nearly at the end of that part of the show. Do you have any more business you want to give?
I think that's the end of my business, except I want to remind everyone again, Brushhead Gallery next week, and also Movie Club, Flash Gordon.
Hell yeah. By the way, folks, in case you're wondering why this show is so off the rails this early, it's because this is our agenda right here. This blank sheet of white paper I'm holding up.
Yeah, we went to pre-ramble and we rambled. It was good.
By the way,
If you didn't hear it, you should be a patron so you can hear it.
oh yeah, because it's like in the ether now. If you're not a patron, you got 0% chance of hearing that gold. We talked about stuff that will literally change your life. It's better than a Zipa, which is that thing that keeps you from snoring. So there you go. By the way, this is the Butterfoam. I'm holding a cube of the Butterfoam right here. This is from this was actually the thickness of the War Machine 25 foam. This is a pluck out, and I want to show you something, John. You want to see how buttery smooth this is? I'm going to compress it. Oh, look at that! Look how small it can get. It's like literally it breaks dimensions. It's blue because it's like Doctor Who. It's bigger on the inside. Who could have thought that you would put a Glacier King in a KR multi-case box?
I really wouldn't have, actually.
Only the Master. And you know who hates the Master the most? Doctor Who. So there you go. It's blue because it's Doctor Who.
Oh my god. Oh, very well.
So there you go. All right. So literally it's made out of TARDIS. It is. It's made out of TARDIS, and it could be TARDIS. It could be other things, or it could be blue foam. So we're gonna go over here, and we have a topic today, John.
We do have a topic today. Save us with a topic, John.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the photography cam on here because I know the reason that people tune into this show is to watch me, basically throw up on a model once a week. And I'm going to get my, they say a dog is a man's best friend. That's bullshit. It's the wet palate. And my palate is exceptionally wet tonight.
Yeah, I'm having a little problems with mine, but I'll sort them out.
My
still work, even with a little bit of problems, it still works pretty well.
I may have gone a little bananas with the wetness this time. I'm smoothing it out here, trying to achieve what we like to call in the business an even playing field. And
yeah, mine keeps curling. My paper keeps curling in the PP one, and it's a pain in the ass.
So this is are you using the original PP paper or are you using parchment paper?
PP paper.
PP paper. Don't PP on your paper, by the way. We're just going to put that out here right now.
It's liquid.
Yeah, but it'll make it smell worse than normal. And so this is...
Everyone knows my paint jobs stink.
Up. All right, so we have... I'm going to paint some Thumper Crews tonight because, I'm down to that part of my collection.
Hey, Thumper Crew's legit.
And
Knockdown on a Stick is pretty good.
So, John, I'm going to talk... Before we get into the main topic tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about paint. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact that I'm really not a fan of GW paints really at all anymore. Their layer stuff is serviceable, and this is the last Citadel layer paint that I actually own, and it is Gene Steeler purple, and I use it as a highlight for my beaten purple from PP.
It's a pretty good purple. I do like the hell out of that color.
That is thick. It's a thick, It's a thick paint. There is and Citadel has a paint that is thicker than this, and they call it base. And that shit, I swear to God, you could drywall with.
Well, we used to fill gaps sometimes on models.
Well, yeah, and you could do it. You could literally do it with their base. And so I took some base. I had Abaddon Black and I had Scar White that I was using and I diluted them, hoping that they would turn into something of a consistency that would be worth painting with. And I was unsuccessful.
Yeah, unfortunately, Citadel paints, you can't just water down and hope they stay that way. You got to water them down as you use them.
Totally a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And so, Citadel, I'm going to show you what this is for you. That's the big middle finger right there. F you, Citadel. And I will keep the Gene Steeler because it's legit. But
hey, try the airbrush line. They might be a little better.
Okay,
you can probably still brush paint with them.
So speaking of colors that are better in their airbrush, this is Vallejo Game Color, and I like this white. It is Blanco, or dead white, as they call it, Blanco Calavera. So did you know that Calaveras County probably means dead county?
No, I didn't, but interesting.
Yeah, it's about the hopping frog of dead county. That's awesome. Hooray for dead frogs.
So Greenleaf Terrain says use medium to thin down the paint, not water.
Well, it'd probably be better.
That actually makes a certain amount of sense.
Well, it logic and shit.
Yeah.
So or you could buy Vallejo Game Color, which just sort of works out of the dropper.
Yeah, and they match a lot of the old GW colors, but they haven't done one to do all the new GW colors, unfortunately.
Yep. So I like this, and that's what I'm going to be starting with here tonight. I'm going to be, yeah, I agree. By the way, folks, Greenleaf Terrain, also a hell of a painter, as it turns out. Just gonna put it out there because Adam's stuff comes painted, So if you want amazing 3D terrain that looks beautiful, by the way, go over to miniwargaming.com and take a look at their tables. They're all Adam, all the time. And so, and Adam's a super sweet guy. So we're gonna put a little bit on here on the old wet palette, because the first step in painting my my trolls is to give them the love of the white, which is the base color for their skin. So we're gonna start that way, and then we're gonna get into our main topic. And do you remember what our main topic is, John?
Motivation.
Motivation. So the reason for this this topic this week is mostly because I didn't know what else to do the show about at about 9 o'clock this morning, and I found myself here after I found myself in a very tough position at about a week ago, and that tough position was I had reworked my favorite list, which is the Fire Mountain, and we all know about that. We've talked about the Fire Mountain here on the show a number of times. And Fire Mountain took a big, huge blow when Warders lost their Weapon Master. So what I did to work on my Fire Mountain list, John, was to I decided that I looked around at what other elite sort of infantry models we had available to us in the Troll faction. And I hear that Gators are good.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And of course, by Gators, I mean Gator Posse. And I already had a unit of Croak Raiders in the list, and I decided that what I thought I would try is to put some Gator Posse in the list. And it could not have worked out better. And it turns out that when you take a speed 5 that gets 2 extra inches of movement when you charge a living model, and you've got Dirge of Mists available to you to get them up to defense 13. They've got unyielding on a stick. They're not battle driven, which is fine. I mean, battle driven's awesome and all that kind of good stuff. But they're a hell of a unit. And the only thing that they don't have that Warders have is they don't fall underneath the stone, of course, because PP, it's another example of the man keeping a brother down. PP won't give us one of those cool little models that make them in faction. Because, Scorn is OP.
Because that would be broke as shit. Like,
shh.
I'm just saying here. So, sort of the idea, the balancing factor, supposedly, of minions and mercenaries is that they're generally not faction.
Okay, well then riddle me this, Batman, and we'll get to that later. Then how is it okay that Defender's Ward can go on them in Scorn?
Because Defender's Ward is supposed to be balanced around the fact that it's just friendly. I mean, hell, all of Jarl's spells are friendly.
No, I'm talking about Scorn.
I know.
And so Defender's Ward is available to Gators under in Scorn like no problemo.
Mm-hmm.
So is it much worse for Trolls to have the ability, because it's still we don't even get the +2 defense. We just get the +2 armor.
So if you're getting just +2 armor on 2 units and everything else you have, that's not broke as fuck?
Okay.
That can't be removed? I'm just saying.
That's a detail, man. See, you're catching me up in the details.
I'll be honest. Gator and Posse quite probably are too good for the points.
There is a strong... As a benevolent and responsive leader of the War Machine and Hordes Nation, and that's really what I am. I mean, let's be honest, John, is that I like to look across the playing field and see what all is what and all that kind of stuff. They should be 10 points.
Probably. I mean, when I sit back and look at it, when the alpha came out for the Skinwalkers,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the 11-point package of full Skinwalkers with an alpha were pretty much as good as the Gators with some random 2-point solo, as long as it's not a Taskmaster.
So when you think about the Gators, remember, of course, that they've got 2 attacks. They're POW 13 instead of Weapon Master, or back. Let's pretend that Warders were still, Weapon Masters. But they were POW 10 unless you injured them, and a lot of people would realize that battle driven, I can just ignore them and deal with them, and probably they'll be wimpy.
True, but POW 10 weapon masters are POW 11 weapon masters with the stone, and that's a functionally POW 14 and a half. So, I mean, really, as we've said, the whole thing was that warders were nerfed because they were all things to everyone.
Yep. So
So gators are a good way to go. That's a good way to get motivated about a list again, is to find, change out that unit that's giving you problems.
exactly, and that's how we ended up with today's topic, was that I found myself in a situation where the list I enjoyed playing the most had changed significantly from where it was. And honestly, until about 3 weeks ago, I didn't even own Crocs. And Daniel Barboza, who is out of the East Coast, had some extra Crocs because he wanted to switch over to the plasticky guys. And I'm like, well, seems like a bargain. I'll go ahead and pick these guys up. And so I became the merry owner of three units of metal gators. And so as I sat there, and I also added once you add gators, it throws off the points due to the points differential between gators, and because they're 1 point more. I ended up with Hutchuck in the list too, and a Feral Geist. I reconfigured the list fairly significantly. And so I ended up with 12 models that were unpainted going into Adepticon, which is a convention you don't show up to unless your stuff is painted.
Correctamundo.
And so I found motivation in that way, and I thought that I'll bet you there's a lot of other people out there who also struggle from motivational issues. We've all gone through the situation where we have, we look at a model and go, oh God, do I have to paint? And this is a hobby. It ought to be something that we enjoy.
And the answer is, you don't necessarily have to paint that model.
No. And that is, I think, where we're headed for a lot of our discussion here tonight, is that that what we're talking about here are probably three phases of a problem. The first phase is how do you prevent yourself from getting burned out? Because burnout is a very real thing in the painting hobby. The second thing is, once you are burned out, is how do you get out of that burnout? And then we'll kind of, I guess the third phase is something we'll think about later, because I only can think of two things now. I had a better idea earlier, but John, let's maybe do a little bit of banter back and forth about some of the ways that we keep ourselves fresh and how we think that might translate to some other folks.
Sure. Well, generally, I'll paint for different armies. I've got, we made my hobby goal for the year back after the first of the year was to paint an army for each of the 3 games I'm playing. So that's sort of how I keep it going. I'm painting a bunch of Infinity models right now. So when I get done with them, I'll see how I feel. If I feel like painting the next batch, I'll paint the next batch. If not, I'll jump over to a Malifaux model or two, or maybe, War Machine unit or something.
So you're taking it from the variety is the spice of life kind of an aspect. That's a very strong thing when we talk about preventing burnout. That's also a tool I think that's important when it comes to addressing burnout as it's happening to you.
We used to have a saying where when you're painting Warhammer stuff, paint a unit, then reward yourself by painting that character model or that tank or that dreadnought that you really, really wanted to paint. I know you want to jump into the model you want to paint, but use it as, an incentive. Oh, I get done with this, I can paint that. But on the same thing, don't be a slave to it. If it gets to the point where you're just like, I'm not finishing these Dishonored because, fuck those guys. Put them aside, paint that other model, then come back.
So let's talk a little bit about that, John, because one of the things that's important when you're saying, let's address the elephant in the room. Units are the soul killers.
They are.
And units are, in general, 0% fun because it's the same kind of activity that people in China are paid for, which is producing a huge number of models with little reward. And so some of the strategies that people come up with are ways to address boredom in models. And I think that when you talk about boredom in models, you're talking about seeing the same piece of flesh over and over and over again that you're constantly having to deal with. So, you know,
And PP's really bad about that because there are only so many poses. They don't have the posability and uh, variants of something like a GW plastic kit,
right.
unfortunately.
Yep, you don't have that reposability. You don't have anything that makes that particular model interesting or unique to paint. So what I do, John, is I tend to pick out a particular sculpt. Okay, and the linchpin to all this, and I'm probably getting, I'm kind of mishmashing a couple of things here, is I make my painting area entertaining to sit at.
Oh yeah, Dowdark was just saying that he likes to take a day off from painting, but stay in the hobby by cleaning up your paint desk area. He says a clean space reinvigorates him to paint. And if it gets too messy, it can be daunting. Don't keep all those models you haven't painted out. Put them aside. Only keep the ones you're just working on right away.
Yep, I've got actually literally the rest of my troll army primed and ready to rock, but they are not at my paint desk. They are across the room, by my airbrush area, which is where I do my priming these days.
Hmm.
So keep it away from you so that it doesn't start harshing your buzz about painting. But grab those. Let's say it's a PP set of models where you've got a unit that has maybe 3 models that are the same sculpt. Grab
Usually
the
4. There's just a unit leader separate.
Yep. So I'm thinking, recently, like in the Highwayman, there's like 3 of one sculpt, 3 of another sculpt, 3 of another sculpt, and then there's the unit leader.
Hmm.
Grab 3 models, and and take that as a mini unit, and tackle that particular group of models. When you get done with those 3, then maybe paint the leader. Then after you paint that leader, go back and grab 3 more models. Then go and grab yourself a solo. And just as John suggested, you want to reward yourself because it helps you pull through there. And you'll notice on this, what I'm doing here with my thumper models, and I'm going to give you a second here, John. I apologize for stepping over the top of you.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries.
is I'm grabbing the flesh color, which is the white that I use on my as the first step in my trolls, and I'm doing all of the flesh. Now the nice thing about the thumper is I have 3 different sculpts to work with, and that's
Yeah.
very rewarding. It helps kind
And
of
you
keep
don't need
my
to paint
focus.
both of them at once or anything. You can just do the one and then later come back to the other one if
Exactly.
you've got to.
Exactly. So, it's a matter of very few of us have the ability to hunker in on a particular thing and just stay with it hard for a long, long period of time. Break that up. Give yourself the reward of working on something differently.
But only do it if you need to. If you paint, say, the first 3 of a unit and you're like, yeah, get the next 3.
Yep.
Maybe next time take the next, maybe take 3 and the leader and then go like, I'll leave the last 3 and the UA for later. Do it that way if you need to. Figure
That's
out what works for you at that time.
that's a tremendous piece of advice, John, because it's about situations. It's about feeling how register how you are feeling about it right then. There is no right answer to this, but it's what works best for you that is going to make it really rewarding. We're giving you some tips and some tricks and some stuff that have worked for other people, but it's really a matter of understanding what makes you tick.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you just get as much done as you can. I've got a nice 10 model painting tray with little dowels for putting models on
Hmm.
that I'm using for my Infinity. So I'm like, I want this model because he's primed, this model because I want a painter, and then 8 spots left. I grabbed 8 of the same kind of model. Luckily, it's Infinity, so they all look relatively different. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this when I get sick of painting on the infantry, so to speak. I grab one of the 2 special models, do a little work on them. It lets me, even within painting, switch it up. And if I'm doing a color, I can do it on all those models and go like, where does this model leave that color? And do it a little bit there.
Yep, exactly. So, first tip number 1 is break it up. Break it up into parts sizes of the task that make sense for you. And if that's 3 models, or if that's 2 models, if that's 1 model, do that. Do what makes it work for you, so that you don't get so sick of looking at the model that you want to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first step. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about our painting areas, and because I think that's a big deal. My painting area, John, I have the podcasting rig on it, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes sense for me to have my podcasting rig right here, because I'm going to be painting on camera an awful lot. But the thing that I do when I'm not podcasting is, I've got a YouTube video or something on some type of show that I like to watch, whether that be a movie, or in most cases for me it's a YouTube video, like something from the Cooler, or watch. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Gaming with the Cooler, you should do that. If you're not subscribed to miniwargaming.com, you should be looking at Mini Wargaming on YouTube. They're
Advanced maneuvers.
advanced maneuvers, especially if you're into the war machines, and
If
you
you're
want
into the most infrequently updated War Machine battle reports ever, go with Pillars Assault.
Yeah, Pillars of Salt. They're part of the Menoth John network, and sometimes they update, sometimes they don't. It's like it's like entering a lottery with a better chance to win.
Yeah, and the guys in the chat room were talking about painting with friends. If you can arrange a paint party, and you don't think you need to bring everything. Like, I literally just went, here's a bunch of paints I'm using, and here's my 10 models. Boom, I go over to El Marshall's place for painting up. If I don't have the color, I'm like, I don't work on that color today. I don't care. I'll try and remember to grab it for next time. Or I'll work on it when I'm home.
That's a wonderful segue, John, because one of the things I wanted to talk about was painting hangouts. And, a painting party is in real life, and a painting hangout is more of a virtual thing, but there are, this show in and of itself was designed to provide that kind of encouragement, because, sometimes you need to have some conversation. And, the folks over there at War Machine and Hordes Painting, Shoshi Bauer, are holding a lot of these things. And there's the Hobby Hangout, which is another Facebook page that is encouraging people to get together on these kinds of hangouts. I'd like to think we're a little bit of a pioneer in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And Flight Medic even does ones occasionally. Sometimes it's like Saturday nights or whatever. I don't really have the time, and I'm not set up to paint party, but, people should come in. It's like chatting at the game store while you're painting some models. It's the best thing ever.
Absolutely. And, the thing is that as you're working on models in a painting type party situation, you can be asking some questions. Maybe there's a technique that you haven't mastered yet. And, I've relied upon Shoshi and Flight Medic and a lot of those other guys to kind of give me some advice on how to do things. A lot of my snow technique that I demonstrated on the Glacier King came from talking to folks. And I'll be honest with you, John, I have not met a single person in this painting community that has not been super awesome about sharing tips, trying to teach, and to make everybody better at the game and at the hobby. They all want to share that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. We were at the Games and Stuff yesterday, and Not Brushhead the Jason was helping a young lady paint a model for her role-playing game. She came by, was inspiring his painting, and asked him some things. He went so far as being like, "Oh, let me go outside and help her prime it." He went all the way with that, and that's just because we can.
So that's motivational. When you find a support group that is has of like-minded thoughts, that's very, very motivational. So I would encourage each and every one of you to try out some of these hangouts and try out some of the social aspects of painting. Now, there's a lot of different people out there, John. Some of them are more introverted and less extroverted, but a painting hangout is something that you can participate at your own desired level of participation.
And that's actually key, is figuring out what you can do while you paint. Like, people ask me, why don't I paint while we're painting on John? I'm like, well, someone's got to keep track of the chat room and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not set up for it.
And literally, it's not me.
Yeah. Figure out what you can do. Like, I have a hard time watching a movie while I'm painting, because I watch a movie. I like to watch a movie.
Yep.
Unless I've seen it a ton of times, I pay attention to the movie more. So I don't do that. But concert DVDs, just music, podcasts, whatever, it's like a battle report. I could never do a battle report and paint. It's just, not what I can do. But I know that, so I don't even try.
Right.
And it's removing distractions. Like, I don't even have, like, if I'm painting, I don't even have my computer on unless it needs to be.
Sure.
So that way I'm not tempted to walk over and do something. I try to have anything else out, but when I'm painting, that way it's just like I'm painting. This is what I'm doing.
It is absolutely it's about situations and knowing how you react and what's your favorite way to react to those situations. And that is where motivation comes from, is that you figure out what is good for you. Are you motivated by the social aspect of painting, which then you put yourself in situations that are like that. And if you're not, then you find more solitary ways of doing it, or maybe you participate as more of a watcher in a hangout or things like that. So
Mhm.
that's what it's all about. Now, we've talked a little bit about how to prevent that. Now, John, have you ever experienced painter burnout?
Oh my lord, yeah.
Yeah, I have
Working
too.
for Games Workshop, I had to paint an entire Lord of the Rings army in less than 30 days. And, I had to do that and anything else I wanted to do. Couldn't do it at work. So literally it became I get home from work and have dinner with the wife, maybe watch an ET episode with the wife, and then I'm like, I've got to go paint. And that is the absolute worst. If it starts feeling like a job, you're not going to like it.
Not for
I know a
nothing, but
lot of painters who try and go, oh yeah, I love painting. I'll start doing commission stuff. Ugh,
yeah.
ugh.
People have often asked me, John, why do you do commissions? And I don't. I've tried it and I never will again.
Mhm.
Is I don't have any motivation to paint for someone else unless it's a gift. If it's a gift,
Absolutely.
I've painted a few gifts for people. But in
Uh,
general, even that I find difficult.
mhm.
And it's a matter of it becomes, as you say, it becomes work. I'd like to know how Games Workshop can mandate that you work on painting stuff off of company time where you're not getting paid for. I'd like to know how the fuck that works,
Uh,
because
Me
that's not
too,
even
but it's in the past. It's not worth worrying about.
because that's not even legal in the United States.
Yeah, it was rough, and the army didn't come out as well because I wasn't focusing so much as what I was doing, just as I got to get it painted, got to get it painted.
Yep. And a lot of GW armies are no joke as far as the number of models you're talking about doing either.
Hmm.
But
Wasn't
anyway,
too bad. It was Lord of the Rings, but hey.
so we're talking about things that
Hmm.
painter burnout is a thing. So
Hmm.
the way that I have tended to, and I've dealt with it as well. There's a couple of different things that I do to get myself out of it. In general, what I've done in the past is I've thought about what has pulled me out of it the most is a goal. And for me, a goal has often been like this particular latest goal. I have a list that I'm very fond of that I want to bring to a con, and I do not want it to be unpainted. So I'm going after models that I have a specific reason I'm painting them, and so that will help me. But that is not. I don't think that's the necessarily the strongest lever in the toolbox as far as pulling. For me, I think it's the strongest one is doing something different, trying a different game or a different type of model, like Guild Ball,
Hmm.
where the models are very different, and it's not trolls.
I think what broke me out the most was painting models for a superhero game. Because I'd get, whatever superhero models I can find and just paint them up as the villains and whatever. And that helped break me out. Um, but it took a while to get back into painting like an army. Anything other than painting single models. It took a while. So the best thing is if you see it happening, don't let it happen. Just eject from that. If it's for an event, you might have to not go to the event because it will hurt you more in the long run.
I'm in a good place these days. I mean, I've got my trolls to a point where I'm literally at the point where I have one after I get done with these two particular um, units of thumpers. I'm down to a unit of champs, and I am done with the faction. And I can pull through that thinking towards family reunion and stuff like that.
Hmm.
After that, I'm in an enviable place where I'll be looking at literally a model here and a model there, and that's all I'm going to be painting.
Which
Um,
means it's time to go into Gators because you've got 3 units of Gator Posse and some Croaks.
yeah, I'm going to give that third unit of Gators to Rich Brotman. I've already
Oh, cool.
talked about that because he's tossing me a bottle of Sour de Liege, which is
Oh,
maple whiskey.
there you go.
Yeah, That's a good that's a good trade. But so I
Yeah.
mean that's kind of what we're talking about as far as when it comes to when it comes to figuring out how to break out of the funk, so to speak, is you want to be thinking about something different than what you're doing. Make that break and do something different. What other things, John, have you experienced from making a break that have helped you?
Um, Honestly, since my biggest one was just painting that whole army. Actually, painting stuff up for the two ATCs sort of put me on a hiatus for a bit, and it was just painting a random model that I really wanted to. And there's nothing to say. Yeah, sometimes, like Dowdart just said, sometimes you just paint a model because it's a model that you want to paint.
Yep.
You see a model in the game store. Maybe that's a reward. Like, oh, I slogged through. I got that whole army done. I don't really want to paint anything else with that. But that model right there looks really cool. I'd like to paint it. Who cares if it's for a game you want to paint?
Yep.
Play. Just do it. Why'd you put that on your napkin?
Why did I put it on my napkin? Because I'm dry brushing,
Okay.
and I don't want to. I didn't want to get a bunch of water into it.
Okay, that's fair.
So I don't know. It's kind of a thing. I didn't.
No, I can't argue with it. Just curious.
Nope.
But yeah, buy models just because you want to paint them. I bought was it that's the company that does the Batman game is doing Marvel games now, and I bought the Nova, the Human Rocket for that game just because I want to paint him.
So I mean, and really that helps find your motivation with why you're painting in the first place.
Mhm.
So I had to reset the computer went into sleep mode on on the monitor, which makes it somewhat scary. But so anyway, so I mean those are some thoughts. John, how are we doing on questions this week?
We're actually pretty good on questions this week.
So I mean we're at that time in the show when we would probably switch over if we have a lot of questions. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And we'll talk a little bit about about some questions related to burnout. I figured this would be one of those kind of topics that might help generate
Our
a few
questions
more
are
questions.
actually not about burnout. Actually,
Oh,
most
that's
of them are
fine.
actually random.
Well, that's fine. Who cares? But
If you do have any questions about burnout, email them.
there you go.
Just get them to us by email. Find us on Facebook. Hit them on the Facebook page. Whatever. We have no problems revisiting a topic we've talked about. Actually, before we go into questions, I want to revisit last week's topic a little bit.
Yep.
Since I started painting some stuff, I found some of my brushes weren't so good.
Okay.
So I bought some brushes. I looked at the GW brushes sitting in the rack, and they couldn't hold a point in the rack.
That's bad.
So I skipped them and bought Army Painter, and they're not that good, but for the price for a brush that I need to use as a beater, they weren't bad.
Yep. That's what I'm using right now. I'm using an Army Painter dry brush, large dry brush.
Yeah. Those are better. The dry brushes are better. The GW dry brushes are actually pretty solid, but the brush I was looking at, which is sort of like they call it a small. I would have called it a standard back in the day, and it just wouldn't hold the point there. So I'm like, if it's not holding the point in there, I'm not gonna take it. So look at that a little bit when you're buying a brush if you can see it.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
All right, so lots and lots of questions. Let me see. I'm going to skip the one from Guildmaster Sherwin about Lapsang Shuchong tea because it was answered in the room and we don't have any help for that anyways.
No, we don't.
Here's kind of inspirational. Rich Broutman of Beer Machine
Love that guy.
wants to know. He says, I watch TV series when I paint. I'm going to finish Babylon 5 soon and I'm looking for another series. I've already watched Stargate Universe and Enterprise also while painting. What should I watch next?
John, I'll let you take this one first.
Well, first I'm going to hit Barry Holmes on Facebook said Farscape or Fringe. I will thumbs up Farscape.
Yep.
It is super good. Haven't seen Fringe. If you haven't seen the original Star Treks in a while, try those. But otherwise, just you find a series you like. Justified's really good. It really depends on what you want. If you want light and fluffy, you're probably if you're watching Battlestar Galactica, you're watching Babylon 5, so you probably don't need light and fluffy. See some BSG if you haven't seen BSG. BSG is good, and I mean the newer one. The older one's good, but it's a little more fluffy.
Yeah, campy is another good way of describing that show.
Yes.
So I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of series when I'm painting. what I tend to watch is a lot of YouTube, and I don't know what it is about 40K YouTube stuff. I because the game is probably garbage. But the battle reports are
If you get
amazing.
if you get the guys who are playing the game the way it's quote unquote supposed to be played, they're having a great time and it's very cinematic.
Yeah, I mean I like I'm addicted to mini wargamings of videos, and I think they're amazing. The other thing I really like is I like the coolers videos that are related to the battle. I've talked about the Battlefleet Gothic Armada stuff, which is a video
Mhm.
game I'm personally interested in these days. He does a great job. He is a master banter kind of guy. He's just
Mhm.
really his banter is amazing.
And that's important.
And I found out about him through watching mini wargaming. So I still enjoy the mini wargaming stuff, and I still enjoy listening to the. Man, am I glad I don't invest in Games Workshop stuff, because the game itself sounds unbalanced as shit, but
Sure.
the cinematic and the kind of the where they do scenario based stuff is wonderful. And so I that's what I tend to listen to. So I listen to a lot of mini wargaming, listen to a lot of gaming with the cooler. I listen to I listen to a lot of Guerrilla Gaming, which was Ash's channel that
Ash
after he
Barker,
split Ash Barker after he split off uh, from from that channel. So give those guys a try too, Rich. I mean, if you're interested in, I know Rich used to play a lot of 40K, so maybe those would be more interesting to him. I mean, he gets to see the cooler all the time, so maybe he doesn't want to see him when he's not seeing him. But anyway,
or you can try some Let's Play videos for video games if you're interested in that.
yeah, or board games. I mean,
Yeah,
the Geek and Sundry does an amazing job with their tabletop series with Will Wheaton, which is
that's a little
wonderful.
more visual. I find I might have a hard time. I might personally have a hard time with that. But like a lot of the Let's Plays, those guys are very good at telling you what they're doing and why.
Yep, there you go. So there's some thoughts, Rich.
Yes, absolutely. Um, the Trollton Heston wants to know why hasn't Care taken up the Butterfoam as their official slogan?
Oh well, some things are just way ahead of their time, and the Butterfoam might be ahead of its time. So they've got a business, and they've got to run it the way that they have marketing people. They have focus groups most likely that they go. Do you compare this foam to butter? And they're like, what? And they're in the UK, so they're probably thinking about something that might go good with their crumpets or things like that. So, and I don't know what the fuck a crumpet is. It could be, it's good with curds and whey by all accounts.
So you can't do cricket because you don't know what a crumpet is.
No, I mean, is it related?
It's a callback to the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie,
There you go. Well, I haven't
way
seen,
back.
Yep. So that's I haven't seen that one. So, that's before me. I don't even know what the hell that's even about. So it could be that they're saving that. I mean, I'd give it to them for free if they want to say, but we got the Butterfoam. They could be thinking about that right now. They're probably in marketing meetings right now going, what do focus groups say about the Butterfoam? And they're probably saying, well, it's like 50% say the Butterfoam is all that in a bag of chips, and the other ones say, fuck that. And I'm sure that's exactly what they're getting from their marketing groups.
Fuck that.
So
I want to be in a marketing meeting where "fuck that" is an appropriate response. I have a new goal.
well, it could be at KR Multicase. They're pretty progressive there. They could be all about the fuck that.
Fair
And
enough.
so they're caught between fuck that and Butterfoam. So you have to give them. We should have a moment of silence for that, because they should really. That's the kind of decision that you really can't envy anybody. So, moment of silence for KR Multicase. Yeah, because the filter isn't going to just yank that right out. So there you
That'll
go.
be extra funny.
There you go. There was actually a moment of silence there for KR Multicase, home of the Butterfoam, and fuck that.
All right. Drake Scott, he's pretty sure he covered this at some point, but
Sure.
he's going to try again. Have you ever played Pathfinder? And what are our thoughts on pen and paper games? Do you ever make models or drawings of your characters in said games?
Do you want to take this one, John, first, or do you want me to go first?
Shh. Uh, you can go first.
Okay. Um, I have never played Pathfinder. And I will tell you why I have not played Pathfinder, because this is I'm going to tell people how it is. We're not going to pull punches here on this. I when I want to role play, I don't want to like if I want a miniatures game, I'm going to play a miniatures game. And I think that Pathfinder, much like I think in D&D 3.5, which it's based off of, we're too crunchy. I want I want theater of the mind when I role play. I really like 5th edition D&D because it is as crunchy as I want it to be. There are basic rules that help me structure my game, but I want to make shit up as I go along, and I want to make things happen so that they're awesome and heroic and not necessarily be laden with a bunch of rules. So, while I realize that does not necessarily represent everyone, that's what I like, and so that's where I'm at now. John, it sounded like perhaps you might have a slightly different take on that.
No, actually, I agree with you 100%. I played 3.5. It was fun, but way too crunchy. Pathfinder is more the same and not really what me and my guys wanted. If we want crunchy, we go full crunch into the hero system and champions because it's super duper crunchy.
Yep.
But not really in a bad way, if you know what I mean.
No, I get that.
But we really just like to play whatever games we want, and we do make models. I actually have a whole buttload of models that I used to paint for the game that Not Brushhead the Jason or Not Brushhead Dave Pet used to paint. We really went hog wild into the different games, mostly superhero stuff. But we'll try anything.
Yeah, so first off, a game should be whatever you want it to be. And if you enjoy that part of it, then by gosh, enjoy it. And God bless you, because you found something you love. But for me, when I go into that role-playing experience, what I want to do stupid heroic shit, and I want to be able to do whatever I want. And what I don't want is I don't want my dungeon master spending a ton of crap and time figuring out what table on what page and leafing through things that are going to take me out of the adventure. I would rather say, roll a d20 on that and get back to me on that and see what you get. Oh yeah, that seems you got like a mid-range way there, and you're pretty good at that stuff. You succeed and do something heroic and awesome. And if it means that they're going to die, I'm probably going to make it so that they don't die, because I want everybody at my table. If I'm a DM, I want everybody to have a good time. It's not about winning. It's about the only way people win is by being awesome and having awesome times. So there you go. That's what I think.
And a couple add-ons to that. Farseer Corwin wants to know, have you tried RPG? I'll answer this one. Yes, John played RPG at War Machine Weekend when he left me to watch the last part of the Turkish Star Wars by myself.
And what I remember of it was not for me. I was actually playing. I was not playing IKRPG, John. I was playing.
Oh, no?
I was playing Fate or something like that. I was playing the Jenga Tower.
My bad.
And I have played IKRPG.
That was what's it called? The one that Madness Minis loves.
Shit.
Gloom or Dread or something.
Dread? Yeah, it's Dread.
Yeah.
It's not Gloom. Gloom's a card game. But I will tell you that the Jenga Tower game, I'm all in. Love that game. But IKRPG. So John, I bought into the Widower's Wood.
Oh, you did.
I'm not proud of that.
Oh.
It's $140 for a shit fuck of money of minis, and there are Tomahawk Gators in there that I hope someday I can use for War Machine and Hordes. And I got it only because it was. I feel dirty. I really do. I feel dirty about this.
I don't feel too bad. I'm thinking I'm spending $270 on a very, very nice hoodie that looks like samurai armor.
Not for nothing.
For a Kickstarter.
Not for nothing, but still a better Kickstarter than War Machine Tactics.
Possibly.
And it'll work better out of the box, I promise you that. And so I bought into it, and the thing I'm worried most about it is that I watch it play video, and it's so freaking crunchy.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem with like RPG in general. It's a little crunchy. It's
Yeah,
not it's not super cinematic.
no,
It can be a little bit. It's not the worst. It's not 3.5. 3.5 devolved into a I'm not a character. I'm a collection of feats with a magic sword.
that's about it too.
But this your character means a bit more in this, but it's still not necessarily my cup of tea. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and folks, remember, this is just two people's opinion. The
Yeah.
thing you have to it's we're talking about it from our perspective on what we like. It may be something that you very much enjoy. It's just that I when I play a role playing game, I want to get into the creation of the universe and making stuff up and all that kind of stuff. And that's just not what that is going to be all about. And I'm worried that Widower's Wood is going to be whoops, drop that guy in his head. IKRPG that Widower's Wood is going to be just a lot of that kind of crap. It's going to be a lot of detail nonsense.
Well, we'll have to see when it comes out.
Yep, I'll play it. Whatever.
And Kovnik Scotty Putty asks me if I ever played the Marva Saga system. I actually own it still. I got to play it once or twice. It was interesting, a little gimmicky, but I'd give it a shot again. As I said, I do still own it. It's in my bedroom. I'm not going to wander out and get it like I normally do. But
That's fine.
next question.
Yep.
Let's get with Sherwin's real quick, and then we'll go through Dowdark's emails, and then we'll get to Great Times if we've got time.
Aces.
His could probably take up a good part of an episode.
Okay.
Sherwin says he's going to start Malifaux, and he's decided he's going to start with 10 Thunders. Super cool. Misaki and Yan Lo. He wonders if they're any good for a beginner or if he's setting himself up on a hard mode.
See, I thought we answered this question.
I kind of thought, I don't remember answering it, but hey, we'll answer twice.
Who cares? I mean, it's content, baby. We're all about getting the content.
I have not played Yan Lo. He is a little bit complicated. I can tell from looking at him. His whole ancestor stuff, but that's good. He's also complicated because his tiny little Fu Manchu beard is separate. So keep that in mind when you put them together. Tweezers and have a totally sterile, hermetically sealed room so you can find it if you drop it.
Man alive, I cannot sanction that nonsense.
But he looks really cool.
Yeah, good luck with all that.
So he might be complicated. I haven't looked at him yet. Misaki is actually easy peasy. She goes, that model, I want it dead. And she makes it dead.
Wow.
If you've heard some of my stories, sometimes it's like, hey, look at that cluster of several models. I want them dead. Look, they're dead.
Wow.
There are combinations you can make. And honestly, that doesn't necessarily win you a game. I told you about the one where I go up there and I kill 3 models and suddenly I'm losing the game.
Yeah.
There is a strategy your opponent can use that makes like, hey, your leader just killed the model I wanted you to. I'm going to frame you for murder. I get 3 victory points. Like, well, shit. So keep that in mind. Killing models is not the end all be all, but she's really good at it. She's not support. She is blunt force trauma directly to the forehead.
I'm all in on that.
And she's fun. She can dance around. She can start off like over here behind a wood, charge this bastard, go over here, go over here, go over here, and then suddenly like what happened? She's like way over here. But I'll say with all the masters, when you're looking at it, take a good hard look at what the upgrades they can have is, because that's how you really start to get into the nitty gritty.
There you go.
So I don't think there's a hard mode. We'll see on Yan Lo. Maybe I'll give you an idea. I'll take a look at him.
Cool. I have nothing to say.
Well, so we'll do Dowdark's out of order so you have something to say.
Oh, that's fine.
Because his first one is Malifaux, but we'll switch. So he says, in my impatience, I started painting a model before the super glue fully cured. Now my brush has a chunk of it.
Yep.
What can I do to save the brush, or is it forever gone?
It's gone.
Yeah, I've never found a good way.
Nope.
You may be able to cut it and use it for dry brushing or something like that.
It's funny you say that. That's exactly what I did. I did that to a Winsor Newton Series 7, and I turned it into a dry brush, and it sucked as a dry brush.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
The bigger the brush, the more likely it is to be useful. If it's big enough, You might be able to get some acetone and just dip the part with the super glue in there, and maybe,
Maybe.
just maybe, but that's a lot of work.
You may have just fucked up, and now you've got a stupidity tax on your hands.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, if you don't have acetone, you're going to have to buy acetone, buy something to put it in. Yeah, you might just want to chuck the brush, get a new one.
Yep, could be time to just buy a new brush. Sorry,
Yeah.
man.
All right. So, next one from him. I'll keep it with stuff you can go in on.
Thank you.
If you were forced to eat a type of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a 4-day con, what would it be?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a 4-day
Yep.
con. I can only eat
Yep.
the one cuisine. Fuck, I'm
Yep.
all in on Chinese.
Pizza.
No, I'm all in on Chinese.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Because the way I look at it, if I'm going to be locked into an exact cuisine, then I like Chinese food because there's a lot of variety within it. As far as I can go spicy, I can go bland, I can go healthy, I can go straight in, gonna kill you, all that kind of stuff. So I like that too. Plus, I get to use the chopsticks. I love using the chopsticks.
I use the fingers.
Oh, there
Fingers
you go.
are better.
Well, that's fine.
Plus,
So-
with all the different toppings and ways you can make pizza, it's probably for the best. And I feel like I could go 4 days on pizza. I've done it in the past. And then I would not eat pizza for like a month or two.
You can go do a solid breakfast pizza too.
Yes.
So,
So honestly, I'll even say so much. If you have the right place that makes the right kind, you could do burgers too, because there's so many things you can do with a burger.
you can
I had
do,
one this week. Creekins brought over that was burger, cheese, all the normal condiments, then some onion straws, some bacon, and a fried egg on it. Because hell's yeah.
so and you could do a pretty effective Mexican too, when you get right down
Yeah,
to
but
it. But everyone
You wanna
around
eat
you is
4
going
days
to
of
hate
Mexican,
you.
yeah.
Everyone around you is going to literally loathe you. So
I believe that's against the Geneva Convention for me. I can't have
yeah,
Mexican that many days in a row.
you're going to be, your poops are going to be something that like fucking J.R.R. Martin is going to be writing about. Why? Because it killed characters, man.
The Chris Fowler says tacos. I thought about tacos, but I would get sick of tacos pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Though, if you've got a good variety of tacos, like those ones we had at War Machine Weekend where they put feta on them, I'm like, feta. That's a bold move for a taco. Really tasty.
By the way, folks, if you don't know who the Chris Fowler is, he is a super sweet individual, and you should know who he is. So,
I'm sure Madness Minis would say cheesesteak since he's the minister of cheesesteaks.
nice. Cheesesteaks are legit. You can't
Yeah.
argue with a cheesesteak.
All right. Zadark's next question is: I don't turn 40 till next year. Will there still be a senior pro tour for me to get in on?
It won't be me running it at War Machine Weekend. I can promise you that. I don't know. There might be. I think there's
Yeah.
one happening at Adepticon. I hope that the damn senior pro tour is bigger than me,
Yeah.
because that means it's not very big.
If I get a chance, I'm gonna talk to the guys at Nova and see, assuming I'm able to go to Nova, which seems like a yes. See if I can get one going for Nova. I might just wait and talk to them in person. Better than trying to communicate,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yep.
and just get some idea.
So I mean, let's be honest. What a senior pro tour event means. It means that you show up and you play cool games with old dudes, and
It has some fun.
have fun. There's no prize support needed, nor should there be any prize support. If there's prize support, you're doing it wrong.
There's
And-
prize support if you're done for doing crazy cool things.
Yeah, and it should be like like just random stuff. And so I mean, it should be about being a super cool sport to your opponent and stuff like that. So just if you want a senior pro tour at an event, then step up and say let's have one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
If
really
you want
simple
any
to
kind
pull
of
off.
event at your local con, talk to them. Ask to offer to help to do it. Find the local PG. Go, hey, I'll help you with the logistics of this. I think we need one of these here.
Yep. And they will be all in to help you.
Mhm.
So there you go.
All right. Let's do, here we go. What is the one thing I should do at this year's Lock and Load before I leave Lock and Load?
You should go to the Starbucks Reserve Roastery with me.
Well, there you go.
Because I was the startup director for that facility, and it is super sweet and totally legit. And I'm doing we're gonna have a meet and greet kind of a thing.
Boom. And his final one is Malifaux. How many silent ones should I put in a Rasputina crew? Hashtag all the silent ones. Well, that arc, I'm kind of strange, and I like a variety of models in my crew, so I only use the one I own. I've seen people take two. They have some good abilities, but I like a good variety of the little frozen peoples, so to speak, and some non-frozen peoples, just in case I need some different ability. So I would say one is enough, but you get two in a box, so that's good too.
I have no opinion on that matter.
No. Uh, let's just say that if you attack her, she can turn into a statue that you can then arc node through, because she's a statue, not a model, so she's not engaged. Ha ha ha! Explode.
Oh
think I covered
man,
it.
my brain.
Uh, and for Ryan goes, real quick one without too much into it. Troll Blood Battle Engine, best uses and casters it goes with, because he just got one.
Okay, so I've had really good luck with the with the battle engine in, um, so whatever you take the battle engine with, make sure you've got an impaler in the list, because fire strike on a battle on that war wagon is legit as shit. Or you're taking it with a snipe caster, which means you're taking it with Gunbjorn, which means you're probably doing it wrong. And
Wouldn't be bad.
he might make it better, but the thing that he likes to turn on his battle group, and it's not a battle group thing.
Correct.
So
It seems like a lot of points you could put into a battle group model.
yeah, so I mean, I enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it quite a bit. I think I've played it with Jarl, as it's an interesting quicken choice.
Quicken!
It's
Tactical Supremacy would work with it too, wouldn't it? Because it's a battle engine.
Yes, it would. And so it gets to use that. I would say that there is, it has some interesting thing. I've used it, I believe, on even Doomy 3, because I think it works well with his scroll.
Okay.
But so there's some thoughts there. So it's a little non-traditional. To be honest, the War Wagon is one of the least utilized models in all of Trolls, and it's really good. I mean, it's got large pie plates for extra fun, and it's got it's the scattered gun isn't so much to talk about, but the
Hey,
the
extra spray is still an extra spray.
a spray is still a spray, even an unboostable one. And so there's some things to be done there. Ryan, let me tell you what. Let me look into my war room and see what I can come up with, and I'll PM you with some ideas.
Off the top of my head, I would say Grim 1,
Yeah,
because he has all the tools to make it work.
Grim 2 also.
Yeah, well, someone in the chat room mentioned Grim 2, but I'll go Grim 1. His feet can mean like you can land that where you want to go, because sometimes even making something -3 defense isn't enough to hit it. But when the guy in front of him's like defense 9, you're like, I can hit that.
Yep. I would
And then
look
the
it up.
guy nearby is knocked down.
I would look it up right now, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure what it would do to the show. So because I have to fire up an Android, sim kind of, what do they call that? The thing that like emulates. It's an emulator.
Oh. Mhm.
So I have an Android emulator that I could throw up there and bring up all my lists, but because I know I've got the War Wagon in one of them, and I had a good time with it. The last time I played it, I gave it away for nothing, which is my problem, not the War Wagon's problem.
Yes.
But
Unfortunately, that happens sometimes with the big models, and it makes people think they're bad.
no, that one was self-inflicted gunshot wound, so had nothing to do with the War Wagon's a fine model, and at 9 points, you can do a lot worse than put one in your list. So there you go.
Absolutely.
I've painted a fair amount here tonight, John. I'm not sure how
Yes,
much I
sir.
got left in me.
Well, don't use all your motivation now.
Oh, I'm not. Thank you. That was great. Good stuff. So just to kind of bring everybody up to where I am on the painting tonight. So here's what I got done tonight. I put skin on all my trolls, and I also put a lot of shiny metal on them, and then I also painted some wheels as well. I've decided my two thumper crews would have different color wheels, would be how I would tell them apart. So one's got more of a brownish, and one's got a little bit more of a yellow. But after this guy gets the touch of the Agrax Earthshade, it'll pull it way darker, and it'll be super awesome and completely legit. But I feel like I made pretty good progress on these, and I feel my motivation is still high to do these models, which I think is a key. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna knowing when to quit is always a good idea, and
Absolutely.
we're gonna go up here back.
You paint until you're satisfied, not till you hate yourself.
Right, exactly. So
Much like eating.
while we are up here on the face cam, I'm gonna be. And John, what do you think? Should I go ahead and show my brush care techniques while I'm doing this?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds perfect.
I'll go back here and
John.
I'm going to go back onto the photography cam then, and I'm going to go ahead and put the wet palette away, which is your sign as a viewer of this show that the painting is over. And we are going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the light off, the painting light off, and we'll let there you go. And we're going to go ahead and take care of tonight the most valuable player or most fucked up brush, whichever you want to call it, is the dry brush. It's got some pretty solidified metal in it, and we're going to see what we can do about fixing that up. And we've got the masters here, and we're going to go after it while we talk about Batman versus Superman.
Oh, do we want to start there? Let's start there. So I watched 2 movies this week, Batman vs. Superman and John Carter.
Mm-hmm.
I liked one and didn't like the other.
Yep.
So I shaved before I went into Batman vs. Superman, and this is how much my beard grew during the movie. That's how long it is.
Wow.
So that'll give away the spoiler right there. This is not a good movie. I'm going to give you L. Marshall's response to me about what he thought about it after he walked out. He said, if I had to watch it again, 3 shots of Kraken and the bottle stays.
Whoa.
This movie is pretty much the diametric opposite of Deadpool. It is overly long, overly complicated, and pretty fucking humorless.
Wow.
It takes itself way too fucking seriously.
That's a shame.
Yeah, so this is some good points real quick before I start really ripping into it. And if you really want to see someone rip into it, YouTube Movie Bob's review of it is on point pretty much. There's a couple points he gets about where I don't necessarily agree with him, but overall he's pretty on point. Actors. Everyone was worried about Ben Affleck as Batman. He's fucking fine. He's fine. He was downright good. Henry Cavill as Superman, he looks the part. He does good. And the times he gets to let his charm show as Clark Kent or Superman, he's great. But they don't let him. If they let him not be super serious and brooding Superman, the weight of the world's on my shoulders, oh my God, he would be very good. He might rival Christopher Reeve. But they don't let him do that. Christopher Reeve was smiling most of the time. He was charismatic. They don't let Henry Cavill be charismatic as Superman. But honestly, that's not his fault. That's the director's fault.
Mm-hmm.
The times he gets to do that, he's fine. Let's see, who's next? Let's hit Lois Lane. She's fine, whatever.
Who even plays her?
Most of the supporting cast is fine. Jeremy Irons as Alfred is fucking great. Like,
cool.
Honestly, at some point, he is snarky, and that's the only bit of chuckles you really glean from this movie if you're a normal person. I would love to see a Batman movie with Ben Affleck as Batman and him as Alfred. It would be great. I would go see that. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, absolutely fine. A little unnecessary for the movie, yes, but that's sort of indicative of the problems they're doing. But she was fine in all her scenes. When she was dressed as Wonder Woman and fighting, you're like, that's Wonder Woman. Hell yeah.
Cool.
So, on all those points, it's fine. You'll notice I didn't mention one actor. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
I've heard he's bad.
I don't want to necessarily say he's necessarily bad. He's not Lex fucking Luthor. He's some crazy guy who has the name of Lex Luthor, but that's not Lex Luthor. Movie Bob surmises that the original plot had Joker and Lex Luthor in there, and they combined them both into this one character, which would make a bit more sense. But he's not good at all.
So is he crazy?
He acts that way.
then he's not Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's like, and this is an amalgam of a bunch of comics put together. I'm not going to spoil all of them because it would spoil big parts of the movie. But let's just say it's at least 3+ different comic storylines put together that don't need to be together. There's, I literally looked over at Marshall at one point in the middle where there's this dream sequence. I'm like, did I pass out and wake up in a different fucking movie? The shit is going on here. And it's just too much. They're trying too hard. And that's really the end problem. They're trying too hard. They want to turbocharge and catch up with Marvel. And they can't. They fucking can't. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, this could almost have been a half-decent Batman movie. But unfortunately, you got Superman in my Batman. And unlike chocolate and peanut butter, they're not necessarily as good together.
That's like Batman the animated series. They tried to put. Can anyone explain to me why they had even Superman listed on that show? Because he never appeared in a single episode, as far as I can tell.
Well, it's because for a while it was the Batman Superman Adventure Hour, and you had both of them together in an hour. So
okay.
they put it one giant, one season's worth or 2 seasons worth of credits. They have them together.
Okay, gotcha.
Though honestly, in that when they worked together, they were way better. Way better. I mean, this is just, it's needless. It's not even interesting. It is the slowest, most boring movie I've seen in a long, long fucking time.
Wow.
Like, straight up, fuck this movie. It didn't need to be made. They made it, but they ruined every shred of good that was left in Man of Steel. You know, the whole, oh, this could be cool for the next time. You know, this could be cool. You know, for the sequel. They just piss all over it. They may have to back up and punt again because while it's going to make some money, the reviews are just horrible and they deserve to be.
Well, they're 30% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and the internet is alive with comparing shitty movies to the Rotten Tomatoes score of Batman versus Superman.
The score is, I mean, it's a fair score, but I mean, it's not fair to the actors. And I feel really bad for all of them. I feel bad for Ben Affleck because he was good.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't need another Geely.
No, he did not need another Geely. He's like, I hope this doesn't ruin DC's plans for good stuff. Hopefully Wonder Woman, which I'm a little more excited for, will be good. Though it kind of seems like it's stealing Captain America's thunder, but that's sort of her period. She was around in World War II. It makes sense, so I give him a pass on that. So, end result, fuck this movie. Fuck the studio execs who made it. Thumbs up to almost all the actors in it. Fuck Zack Snyder. For God's sake, stop. Why is he still directing movies? What was his last good movie? 300?
So, I've not gone to see this movie. I will not go see this movie.
Don't.
I took my kids to Zootopia today. It was delightful.
Excellent.
So, if you haven't seen Zootopia, I highly recommend it. It is it is not Pixar good, but it's pretty damn good. And the lead character of Officer Hops, is super fun. And
how many shots of Kool-Aid?
I would give it 1 shot of Kool-Aid, or three. You might want 3 shots of Kool-Aid because it's it's an hour and a half movie. It's nicely paced, and you might want to have a little shot of Kool-Aid just for the hell of it. And and Idris Elba plays Sergeant Bongo, who is a water buffalo, and it's amazing. And I was like, man, I recognize that voice. And then I figured it out about halfway through the thing. Oh yeah, that's Idris Elba. I'm waiting for him to cancel the apocalypse the rest of the movie.
Oh, sounds like you made off much better at the movie theaters than I did.
I think I did.
End of day, 4 shots of Kraken.
Oh,
fuck this movie.
Oh, fuck that movie. All right, so you had one more for us, though, didn't you, John? One that was better?
I put it up to the brush heads. So if I could watch John Carter or The Lone Ranger, they got to choose.
So this podcast will end if you don't like this movie.
Well, I like this movie.
All right, so, so we're good. All right, that's good.
So you talk about Batman vs Superman, which the movie is making way more money than it has a right to based on how good it is. John Carter is a movie where the negativity came out seemingly for no reason, and it made way less money than it should have.
Yep, this movie is fun.
It's fun. It shouldn't have been super mega blockbuster. They definitely spent way more money on it.
Yeah.
I feel like if they'd done the new style, so to speak, of combining real effects with special effects computer generation,
Yeah.
they would have done a better job of it.
Yep.
Because the green aliens, God, their names they escape me because I've been drinking.
The
Trucks,
oh fuck.
trucks,
Um
something like that.
whatever. I remember that the leaders were called Jadix or something like that.
Well, that was all of them. That was like that's a title in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like the Thrucks, I think they are, or the green aliens were a little too CG. I think they could have been better if
Yeah.
they'd used a little costumes for them instead. Maybe costumes with a little CG to clean up some points would have been good. But still, overall, good movie. A little cliched at several points, and I think it could have been a truly great movie if they found a better way than to use the cliches.
Yeah.
But cliches are there for a reason. Sometimes they're fun.
Well, they
Uh,
invented half the cliches. I mean, uh, a Princess
well,
of Mars and the Barsoom series invented half the cliches that are in science fiction.
true, but those aren't the cliches I'm talking about. I mean, like the cliches of the hero grabs the flying thing and manages to bumble his way through flying it pretty decently. I'm like, you don't need that cliche. You could have
Fair
had that
enough.
escape be better.
Fair enough.
Uh,
I think where Disney fell apart making or didn't fall apart, but maybe missed the boat a little bit on John Carter was that they didn't want to muscle up to the series because of the name of the first book. I think they were afraid of releasing a movie called A Princess of Mars because of who they are.
what they should have done is they should have taken a cue from a lot of series and done John Carter, a Princess of Mars. You're like, John Carter's series. If I want to go find out, I can Google that and find out.
Yep.
Boom, it's this. And I'll be honest, Lily Collins, I think her name is, as the Princess of
Oh,
Mars.
she's amazing.
She is amazing. They do some things to make her eyes super blue, which is
Yep.
very striking.
And she was a good actress and a
Mhm.
beautiful lady, and I it and the kind of and strong and the kind of Disney princess that would make you proud of her being a Disney princess.
Absolutely, she's stronger in this movie than Princess Leia was in the first Star Wars movie.
Fact.
Granted, that wasn't Leah's role in the movie, and that she's never been warrior first. But honestly, I'm surprised people weren't going off about how she's a Mary Sue because she's smart, she's strong, she's royalty. Like she's the total package, so to speak. But it never comes off that way.
The everyone in the Edgar Rice Burroughs series is a Mary Sue. It's all the characters are Mary Sue, so none of them are Mary Sue. So
Yeah.
it's amazing that way. I
But
love
they
this
all feel
series.
real a little bit. They have some real
Mhm.
motivations. They do stuff that you're like, why would you do that? That's not the right thing to do, but it's the emotional thing to do.
Yep. You're never going to see a sequel for this movie, folks. So suck it up. It is public domain, folks. The
Yeah.
Barsoom series is free. So get out there and read it. Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Oh, that reminds me. That's why they didn't make Princess of Mars. I think a little bit before this movie came out, they had another company do a movie called The Princess of Mars.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I remember that now. There was some old porn chick or somebody as the princess. I'm sure she didn't do as good of a
Oh,
job.
that's great. But Draco's Dragoon, the dog, which is they have like a guard animal that kind of keeps an eye on John Carter at first and becomes kind of his best friend, so to speak.
So they
And
think they're their way, like you're his now, and he'll follow you anywhere.
loyalty to the extreme.
Yep.
And the thing that makes me sad about the whole thing is that while the original Princess of the movie itself is probably a conglomeration of the first 2 or 3 books,
Mhm.
and some amazing things happen in these books. Ladies and gentlemen, Edgar Rice Burroughs is damn good at writing an adventure, and they are amazingly good reads. So get
Yeah.
out there and read these things, guys. And
And the movie's good. Like I got it for like $3 or $4 at the local grocery store, worth every penny.
yep,
Every penny.
yep. Some of the best adventure you can read.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean it's good fun.
Mhm.
It's not super overlong or anything. 2 hours and 12 minutes, but the way they frame it is really well. And I actually enjoyed the way they made it. It's a complete arc. Like you can watch it, you're not gonna be like, oh, no sequel.
Yep.
You'll be like, it's a complete story.
Yeah.
You don't need to have a sequel. A sequel would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been great because there's some of the stuff that happens a little bit later on in the series is very. Oh my god, it would have been amazing. Some of the
And,
Sky Pirate stuff and all that stuff that came in later.
and
Ugh,
Taylor Kitsch, like people used to call him the Kitsch of Death, Taylor Kitsch, because he was in Battleship and then this. Not his fault. This is not his fault. This
no.
can totally be 100% pointed at. I want to say reviewers who maybe didn't understand the source material and were unfair to it because of that.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be aware of that. Public service for movies from John. Make sure you understand the source material when you're looking at a movie, and make sure you find someone who's reviewing it that you trust their opinion. You have similar opinions,
Yeah.
because that won't lead you wrong. And if you even a little idea of maybe I like this movie, go see it. Because if you don't see it, you will damn sure kick yourself if this movie you like.
Yeah. I'll never understand the hate that piled up against this movie because it's fun, it's beautiful to look at, and it's really a John Carter. When it came out and I watched it, it after I read the books, I kind of got the fact that it didn't really follow any of the books. It was kind of a conglomeration, but I was okay with that because I figured they had one shot at this, and they decided to take their best shot, and I had a hell of a good time watching this movie.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give it a shot, maybe a shot and a half of Kraken. Sort of depends.
Sure, why not?
There's some things in the beginning. His original jumping scenes from the beginning are a little awkward,
Yeah,
but still, end of the day, worth the monies. Honestly, considering it's a modern movie, if you can find it on Blu-ray for $10 or less, it'd be good. So there you go. And then next week, Flash Gordon Movie Club. Then maybe the week after, I'll watch The Lone Ranger and see what we think of that one.
yeah, I'll pray for you.
It costs the same amount. I haven't had too many of these movies fail me. Damn you, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
All right, folks. Well, we are at the 8:32 mark, which means that we are exactly 2 minutes over on this one. John, this was an episode.
Absolutely.
We talked about motivation. We talked about some ideas on how to keep yourself motivated, some ways to kind of vary it a little bit, and demo of green stuff glue. Oh yeah, I'll be for sure able to do
Boom.
that for you, Negajoule. Not a problem.
I got that.
Yep.
I got that.
Yep, that's a great one. And Finch Balls, excuse me. I'm sorry. I would ask you to tune in to the youtube.com/menothjohn. This episode is going to be up there very, very soon. And Rave Bomb reminds me that he's going to be off at GratzCon next week. He's going to be joining us as a guest. Rave Bomb has been way too much of a stalwart member of the community for us not to have him on as a guest. So we are going to bring on Rave Bomb. He's going to tell us all about GratzCon coming in the near future. So that's going to be in early April. So on behalf, I'm going to get the music going here, John, because we got to do that.
Absolutely.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. I hear that music, John, and it's like a 10,000-pound weight comes off my chest. And, each and every one of you out there, there's 27 of you out there watching this right now. That's amazing. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. If you want to support the show, keep the lights on here at Painting with Menoth John. It's right down there in the corner. www.patreon.com/menothjohn. We're here for you every week. I hope you're painting along with us. I hope you're bringing the love because we're sending it right back to you. On behalf of Mr. John Spencer, he's up there in the small screen, but he is way bigger than that small screen because he's amazing. And I am Menoth John, and we will see you next week here for episode 102 of the Painting with Menoth John experience. I'm Menoth John. Good night, everybody.